My sister texted me, "Sorry, sis, sometimes these things just happen." After I found out she'd been my boyfriend Max's side piece for our entire relationship, my mom said, "Don't cause drama." So, I caused financial ruin instead. Way less dramatic. All right, Reddit. Strap in because this one's a goddamn train wreck from start to finish. I'm 32F, sitting here in my new apartment, 3 months removed from the nuclear bomb that went off in my family, and I figured it was time to get this off my chest. Some of you might think I went too far. Most of you will probably say I didn't go far enough. Either way, here's how I systematically destroyed my family's finances after discovering my sister had been screwing my boyfriend for our entire 3-year relationship. Let me start with the family dynamics because that's important context for understanding why I did what I did. My younger sister, Eva, 28F, has always been the golden child. Not in the subtle way where you wonder if you're being paranoid. I'm talking about the kind of favoritism that's so blatant it would make a sitcom writer say, "Tone it down. That's unrealistic." Growing up, I was the responsible one. Got good grades without being asked, helped around the house, had a part-time job by 15, standard older sibling stuff. Eva, though, different rules entirely. Failed classes in high school. She's just not challenged enough. Got caught shoplifting. Just a phase. Girls will be girls. Crashed dad's car. Accidents happen. That's what insurance is for. Meanwhile, I got a 2-week grounding for coming home an hour past curfew because I was helping a friend whose car broke down. The real kicker is how this followed us into adulthood. I worked my ass off to get through college, graduated with a finance degree, and landed a solid job as a financial analyst. Nothing glamorous, but I made decent money and was climbing the ladder. Bought my own place at 26, paid off my car, had actual savings. Eva dropped out of college after 1 year, bounced between ventures that never panned out, and lived in mom and dad's basement until she was 25. Every failed business was just bad timing or people didn't understand her vision. Every job she quit was because her boss couldn't handle her innovative ideas. But here's where it gets relevant to the story. 3 years ago, Dad asked me to help him restructure his construction company's finances. He'd built a decent business over 30 years, but was old school about money management. Everything was in his head or on paper, no real systems in place. I spent 6 months setting up proper bookkeeping, creating spreadsheets for project tracking, and establishing relationships with better suppliers. I saved him probably $80,000 that first year just by streamlining operations. His thank you, a handshake, and that's what family does. Fast forward 2 years, and Dad decides to semi-retire, brings Eva on as his successor. Despite my sister having exactly zero experience in construction, project management, or running a business, I'd been helping manage the finances for free this whole time. But Eva got the actual title, the salary, and Dad put her name on half the business ownership. When I pointed out that I'd basically been doing the CFO job without pay for 3 years, Dad said, "You have your own career. Eva needs this more than you do, right?" Because that's how business succession should work. Give it to the person who needs it most, not the person who's actually qualified. But I let it slide because I'm a goddamn doormat who kept thinking family should mean something. Now let's talk about my boyfriend. Well, ex-boyfriend Max. Met him 4 years ago through mutual friends at a barbecue. He was fun, smart, worked as a dental hygienist, and we just clicked. Started dating pretty seriously after a couple months. I introduced him to my family around month 3, which looking back was probably when everything went to hell. Eva laid on the charm immediately. This is her specialty, being the charismatic, funny, life-of-the-party girl, while I'm the boring one who talks about spreadsheets and retirement accounts. I remember her pulling me aside that first dinner and saying, "Dude, he's way out of your league. How'd you manage that?" I laughed it off. Stupid me. Over the next 3 years, Max got really involved with my family. He'd go to their Sunday dinners, help Mom with holiday cooking, even went on a few shopping trips with my aunt. I thought this was great. My boyfriend getting along with my family. What could possibly go wrong? He and Eva became particularly friendly. They followed each other on social media. He'd laugh extra hard at her jokes, and she'd always find reasons to chat with him at family gatherings. But I trusted him, so I never thought anything of it. My best friend Marcus tried warning me about 6 months ago. We were at a bar watching the game and he brought it up casually. Hey, not trying to start, but has Max been acting weird lately, like distant? I thought about it. He had been less interested in sex, picked more fights over stupid stuff, and was on his phone constantly. But I'd been busy with work, so I figured we were just in a bit of a rut. Every relationship goes through phases. I told Marcus, we're fine. He didn't push it, but he gave me this look. The one that says, I tried to tell you. The truth came out 3 months ago in the most pathetic way possible. I was at my parents' house helping Dad with some paperwork. Eva was supposed to be at a job site, and Max was supposed to be working an afternoon shift. I was in the home office when I heard noises upstairs. Figured maybe Dad was up there, so I went to check. That's when I heard them in Eva's childhood bedroom, which she still used when she stayed over. Max's voice, very clearly not alone. Then Eva's laugh. I stood there in that hallway for probably 30 seconds, my brain refusing to process what I was hearing. Then the anger kicked in. Not the explosive kind, the cold, calculating kind that makes you think clearly for the first time in years. I pulled out my phone and started recording audio through the door, got about 2 minutes of very incriminating evidence. Then I walked downstairs, got in my car, and drove home. Didn't confront them, didn't burst through the door, just collected evidence and left. That night, I went through Max's laptop while he was in the shower. I know, invasion of privacy, but my gut was right. Found messages going back almost 3 years, pretty much our entire relationship. The messages were disgusting. Not just the sexual stuff, but the way they talked about me. She's so boring in bed. Does she ever just do something spontaneous? Your sister's cute, but she's basically a robot. Eva's responses were worse. She won't find out. She's too busy with work. Sometimes I feel bad, but like he clearly prefers me. Honestly, girls got no game. The timeline was damning. First message was dated 3 months after Max and I started dating. They had been screwing around at family gatherings, in my apartment when I was at work, even in my car once when Max borrowed it. I spent that entire night documenting everything. Screenshots, timestamps, the audio recording from earlier, built a complete file. Then I opened a beer and started planning. The next morning, Max tried to have sex with me. I told him I wasn't feeling well. He seemed relieved. I spent the week acting completely normal, went to work, came home, had dinner with Max, watched TV. The whole time I was setting my pieces in place. First, I contacted 3 different lawyers and set up consultations. Wanted to understand my legal options, especially regarding Dad's business and any financial entanglements. Second, I backed up every file I'd created for Dad's company to a personal hard drive. 3 years of financial records, supplier contracts, project management systems, client contacts, everything that kept that business running smoothly. Then I reformatted the company's backup drives. Whoops. Third, I started making phone calls. Remember how I built relationships with their suppliers? Time to use that. Told them I was leaving the company and wanted to thank them for their business. Casually mentioned I'd be freelancing as a financial consultant if they ever needed help. Several said they'd keep me in mind. Fourth, and this is important, I reached out to their biggest client, a property development company that accounted for about 40% of my dad's revenue. The owner, Richard, and I had become friendly over the years. I'd helped him understand the bids, explained cost breakdowns, and even caught a few errors that saved him money. I told Richard I was stepping away from the family business and wanted to give him a heads up that he should probably review all future contracts carefully, mentioned that my replacement didn't have much experience with commercial construction. Richard thanked me and said he'd keep that in mind. Then I waited for the perfect moment. It came the following Sunday at family dinner. Everyone was there: Mom, Dad, Eva, my aunt and uncle, Max. I'd brought my laptop, telling everyone I wanted to show them photos from a work event. We finished eating, and Mom was clearing plates when I stood up and said I had something to share. So, I've got some news, I started. Max and I are breaking up. Everyone froze. Max went pale. Eva stared at her plate. Mom immediately started with, "Oh, honey, what happened? You two seem so happy." "Well, that's actually the interesting part," I said, pulling up my laptop. "We seemed happy because I didn't know Max had been my sister for the last 3 years." The silence was deafening. Then chaos. Mom gasping, Dad demanding to know what I was talking about, my aunt looking between Eva and Max like she couldn't process it. I pulled up the screenshots, turned the laptop around. Here's 3 years of messages. Here's the audio from last week when I caught them in Eva's old room. And here's a compiled timeline showing they've been screwing around at basically every family gathering since month 3 of my relationship. Max started crying immediately. Not the "I'm sorry I hurt you" crying, the "I got caught" crying. Big difference. Eva, though. Eva tried to play it cool. "Look, sis," she started. I cut her off. "Do not talk to me." She come. Mom predictably went into damage control mode. "Let's all just calm down and discuss this rationally. Getting angry won't solve anything." "I am calm," I said. "I've had a week to process this. What I'm not going to do is pretend it didn't happen." Dad finally spoke up. "Janet, this is obviously very serious. Eva, what the hell were you thinking?" Eva shrugged. Actually shrugged. "I don't know, Dad. These things just happen sometimes. These things just happen." That's when I lost it. Not yelling-wise, but something inside me just went completely cold. "You know what?" I said. "You're absolutely right. Things do just happen. Speaking of which, I wanted to let you know I'm done with the company, effective immediately. No more free financial consulting. No more managing the books. No more supplier relationships. You two have fun figuring it out." Dad's face went from angry to concerned real quick. "Now hold on. Let's not make business decisions based on personal issues." "Personal issues? Dad, your golden girl has been at my boyfriend in your house for 3 years. That's not personal issues. That's a fundamental lack of respect that I'm done tolerating." Max started talking then, somewhat about how it just happened and how he never meant to hurt me and blah, blah, blah. I cut him off. "You're done talking. Get your shine out of my apartment by tomorrow night or it's going in the dumpster." Then I turned to Eva. "And you, I hope he was worth it. Really, because you're about to find out what that company looks like when you actually have to run it yourself." Mom started in with her peacemaker routine. "Let's not say things we'll regret. Family is forever. And I know everyone's upset right now, but, Mom, I'm going to stop you right there," I said. "You've spent my entire life making excuses for Eva. Every failure, every screw-up, every selfish thing she's ever done, you've enabled her to become the kind of person who'd do this without a second thought. So, no, I'm not interested in keeping peace. I'm interested in never seeing any of you again." I closed my laptop and walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't give anyone a chance to respond. Just left. Got in my car, drove to Marcus's place, and told him everything. His response, "Finally, I've been waiting for you to grow a spine." The next day was Monday. I went into Dad's office early before anyone else arrived, packed up my personal items, deleted my login credentials from all the company systems, and left my keys on the desk. Then, I sent an email to Dad and Eva. "I'm officially resigning from any involvement with the company, paid or unpaid. All financial records, project files, and supplier contracts are backed up on the system. The login credentials are with your IT guy. I've removed my access to all accounts. Best of luck with future projects. Don't contact me unless it's through a lawyer." I forwarded that email to my personal account and the lawyers I'd consulted with. Paper trail, baby. Max showed up at my apartment that night crying and begging to talk. I had the locks changed that morning so he couldn't get in. He stood outside my door for 20 minutes before finally leaving. The texts started after that from everyone. "Mom, please don't do this. We can work through it as a family. Dad, we need to talk about the business. This is bigger than personal feelings." Eva, "Sis, come on. You're really going to throw away family over this? Sorry, but sometimes these things just happen. Can't we just move past it?" That text, made my blood boil all over again. Sometimes these things just happen. I forwarded it to Mom with a simple message. "This is who you raised. Congratulations." Her response? She's young and made a mistake. Don't cause drama by holding grudges. We're family. Don't cause drama. That's what pushed me from walking away to actively burning it all down. See, I was going to just cut contact and move on with my life. Get therapy, heal, find someone who wasn't a cheating piece of... But that text from Mom crystallized something for me. They didn't think what happened was actually wrong. They just thought I was overreacting. So I decided to give them a real problem to worry about. Remember those supplier relationships I'd built? Time to activate them. I reached out to their lumber supplier first. These guys provided about 60% of our materials for residential projects. I had a great relationship with the owner, Tom, who'd always appreciated how promptly I processed payments and how I caught invoicing errors before they became headaches. Hey Tom, just a heads up, I told him over the phone. I'm no longer with the company. My sister is taking over the financial side, and she's got some different ideas about payment terms. He went quiet. Different how? Well, you know how we always did net 30 and actually paid on time? Yeah, I can't speak to whether that's going to continue. Just thought you should know. He thanked me for the warning. Within a week, he switched Dad's account from net 30 to payment on delivery. No more floating costs between projects. I made similar calls to other major suppliers. I didn't badmouth the company directly. I just mentioned I was no longer managing finances and couldn't vouch for future payment reliability. Most of them tightened their terms immediately. Then I reached out to Richard, the property developer, the one whose company accounted for roughly 40% of Dad's revenue. I took him to lunch and told him the full story. He winced in sympathy and admitted he'd already been thinking about my warning. Your sister put in a bid for the Oak Street project, he said. It's about 30% lower than what you would normally quote. Because she doesn't understand the margins, I said. She thinks she can make it up somewhere, but she can't. You'll get halfway through the project and either quality will tank or she'll come back asking for more money. Richard nodded slowly. What would you bid? I ran the numbers in my head. Materials, labor, realistic profit. I gave him a figure about 25% higher than Eva's bid, but actually achievable. That's more in line with what I expected, he said. Tell you what, I'm going to decline your dad's bid. If you ever start your own consulting firm, let me know. I'd rather work with someone who knows what they're doing. That lunch planted a seed. The following week, pressure started building on Dad and Eva. Dad called me directly, skipping the usual chain of guilt texts. We need to talk about the supplier situation, he said, trying to sound authoritative and mostly sounding strained. They're changing our payment terms. Do you know anything about that? No idea, Dad. I'm not with the company anymore, remember? Those relationships took years to build. Yes, they did. Built by me, by being reliable and professional. Maybe they're just adjusting to the new management structure. He was quiet a long moment. Oak Street fell through, too. Richard said our bid wasn't realistic. That's unfortunate. You talked to him, didn't you? I had lunch with a former client, as a private citizen. Is that illegal? He hung up on me. The texts from Mom intensified. I was being vindictive. This was affecting the whole family. Why couldn't I just let it go? They said they were sorry, except they weren't. Not really. There was no apology that acknowledged what they'd done wrong. Just, sorry you're upset. Sorry this happened. Let's move past this. So I kept going. I set up a consulting LLC. Took me 2 weeks to register everything and throw together a basic website. Then I reached out to my network, contractors, project managers, developers, offering financial consulting, bid prep, supplier negotiations, bookkeeping, cash flow triage, whatever they needed. Within a month, I had 4 clients. Within 2 months, I was making more than my day job. I gave notice at my analyst position and went full-time consulting. Here's the beautiful part. 3 of those clients were companies that used to subcontract for Dad's business. They didn't switch to spite him. They just needed financial expertise, and I was available. But it meant projects that might have gone to Dad now flowed to competitors who had their numbers together. Dad's business started hemorrhaging. Not a dramatic bloodbath, just a slow, steady leak. Projects bid too low came in under budget on paper and still lost money in reality. Material costs exceeded projections because Eva hadn't factored delivery fees and waste. Labor ran over because she scheduled everything like optimism alone could pour concrete. About 3 months after I left, Dad called again. "We need help," he said. No preamble. "The business is in trouble." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. "Don't give me that corporate kill my, Janet. We can't get favorable terms from suppliers anymore. We're losing bids. Half our reliable subs have moved on." "Sounds like a rough market," I said. "Have you considered hiring a financial consultant? I hear there are some good ones available." He exhaled like I'd punched him. "God damn it, stop playing games." "You're right, it's serious. So was what Eva and Max did. So was your response. Don't cause drama." "This isn't drama, Dad. This is business. If we go under, your mother and I lose everything. The house, our retirement, all of it." That made me pause, not out of pity, but to understand scope. "What do you mean, everything?" He'd used the house as collateral for business loans. Growth had brought debt. When I was managing cash flow, it worked. Now, not so much. "How deep?" I asked. "About $300,000, maybe more." "Jesus, that didn't happen in 3 months. How long have you been operating at a loss?" Silence. "Maybe a year," he said. "Eva said she had it under control." "Of course she did. Has she been paying herself a salary this whole time?" "She's the managing partner," he said weakly. "She deserves compensation." "And how's that working out?" "Here's my offer," I said. "I'll consult for your business. My rate is $200 an hour, minimum 20 hours per week, billed bi-weekly, payment due on receipt. I'll audit finances, create a realistic budget, and renegotiate with suppliers where possible. Conditions: 1. Eva is removed from any financial decision-making. 2. Any major business decision goes through me first. 3. We never discuss personal family matters. This is purely business." "That's excessive. You used to do this for free." "I used to do a lot of things before your daughter, my boyfriend in your house for 3 years while you all looked the other way. Prices have gone up. Take it or leave it." He took it. Desperation is a hell of a pen. I showed up Monday with a contract that would make a loan shark proud. Beyond my rate, I had clauses for decision-making authority, full access to records, and the right to walk with 2 weeks' notice if they didn't follow recommendations. Then I started the audit. It was worse than I expected. Eva hadn't just been bad, she'd been catastrophically careless. I found $45,000 in unbilled invoices for completed work because she forgot to send them. $30,000 in duplicate supplier payments because she didn't check ledgers before clicking pay. 3 big jobs bid so low they were guaranteed losers. A company credit card Eva used for client schmoozing that looked a lot like restaurants, gas for her personal car, and 1 weekend in Vegas. Payroll taxes that hadn't been filed correctly in 6 months, racking up penalties like it was a hobby. I documented everything and sent Dad a neat report with a cover note. "This is what you get when you hand a business to someone based on favoritism rather than competence." Then I laid out my recommendations. Eva gets removed from any financial authority immediately. Set up automatic payments for recurring bills. Call the IRS and renegotiate. It'll cost about $10,000 in penalties, but better than the alternative. Stop taking new projects until we finish and bill existing ones. Dad takes a smaller salary for 6 months to rebuild cash. Cancel the company card and make Eva reimburse personal charges. Dad agreed to all of it, except removing Eva from the company entirely. "She's still my daughter," he said. "She deserves a place." Fine. I rewrote her role. She could keep her title, take a 30% pay cut, and have zero access to finances, client communications, or bidding. She was a project manager with no authority. Eva found out and lost it. She called me, voice trembling with fury. "You're trying to destroy me." "No," I said. "I'm minimizing damage. The difference is that now I'm getting paid to clean up your mess." "You've always been jealous," she spit. I laughed. "Jealous of what? Your talent for detonating anything you touch? Your commitment to disappointing everyone, including yourself? Sure, super jealous." Over the next few weeks, I did exactly what I was contracted to do. No more, no less. I renegotiated supplier terms, not as sweet as before, but better than pay on delivery, collected the unbilled money, and set up an accounting system even Dad could follow. The business stabilized. It didn't grow, but the bleeding slowed. Sustainable for operations, not for Dad's retirement plan. About 5 months in, Mom called for the first time since the implosion. "Your father is exhausted," she said. "He's 64, working 60-hour weeks. This needs to end." "I agree," I said. "He should sell the business and retire. It's his legacy." Then he should have thought about that before handing it to someone who had no idea what she was doing. "What do you want from me, Mom?" "Come back. Run it properly. Help him retire with dignity." At what cost? Do I just forget Eva spent 3 years sleeping with my boyfriend? Pretend you all didn't look the other way? Your first response was, "Don't cause drama." "We didn't know," she insisted. "Sure," I said. "Max spent every Sunday at your house, Eva too. You think they were just really good friends? You saw what you wanted to see because it was easier." She had nothing for that. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "I'll finish my contract, 4 months left. In that time, I'll get the business sale ready. Dad can retire. You can downsize. Eva can figure out her own career. After that, I'm done. No family dinners, no holidays, no pretend." "You're being cruel." "No, I'm finally being honest." And then I hung up. True to my word, I spent the next 4 months getting everything in order. I updated systems, documented every process, built a portfolio of completed projects, and quietly reached out to my professional network to find potential buyers. Eventually, I found one, a mid-sized construction firm expanding into our region. They were impressed with the way I'd restructured things, with the transparency of the records, with how clean everything looked after years of chaos. They made an offer of $750,000 for the business. After paying off the debts Dad and Eva had racked up, they'd be left with about $400,000. Not retirement in Italy money, but enough for a small condo and a quiet life if they were smart. The sale closed 2 months ago. I attended the final signing, not as family, but as a consultant. I shook hands with the new owners, handed over all my documentation, and walked straight out the door. Dad followed me into the parking lot. His voice was soft, tired. "Janet, I know things didn't go the way anyone wanted." "They went exactly the way you made them go," I said. "You chose Eva over competence. You chose peace over accountability. These are the consequences." He looked down. "She's still your sister." "Biologically," I said. "In every other sense that matters? No, we're done." I drove away, didn't look back. The irony is, that drive felt like the first truly free moment of my life. For years, I'd been the fixer, the peacemaker, the one who cleaned up everyone else's messes. But for once, I wasn't fixing. I was done. The epilogue? It's good, really good. My consulting business is thriving. I'm making 3 times what I used to as a financial analyst, working half the hours, choosing who I deal with. No one gaslights me, no one takes advantage, no one hands my work to someone else because family. Turns out peace of mind pays better than any promotion ever could. And yes, I'm seeing someone new. His name's Ryan. He's a project manager at one of my client companies. Smart, grounded, the kind of calm that doesn't need to prove anything. When I told him the story, all of it, every ugly piece, he didn't pity me. He didn't joke about it. He just looked at me and said, "You're way nicer than I would have been. We're taking it slow. No love bombing, no drama, no endless promises that dissolve in daylight." He knows what I've been through, and he doesn't try to fix it. He just listens. Sometimes that's all healing really needs. Someone who sees the scar and doesn't flinch. Every once in a while, I'll get an update through Marcus, my best friend. He still talks to people who know my family. Apparently, Dad and Mom sold their house and moved into a smaller condo. The money's draining faster than expected because, get this, they're helping Eva with rent. Of course they are. Turns out when you lose your cushy fake job and have 0 real-world experience, starting fresh isn't as glamorous as it sounds. She's been bouncing between jobs, talking big about a new business idea every other week, still convinced the universe owes her another chance. And Max? He tried to reach out a few months ago, long, dramatic text about how he's in therapy, how he's realized everything he did wrong, how he wants to apologize properly. I read it, felt nothing, deleted it. Eva texted too. I hope you're happy now. You destroyed our family's business just to get revenge. I did reply to that one. No, Eva, I didn't destroy anything. I salvaged what I could from your incompetence, got Dad enough to retire, and walked away. The fact that you see me refusing to sacrifice myself for you anymore as revenge says everything about who you are. Don't contact me again. She didn't. People sometimes ask if I regret it. The nuclear option, the scorched earth, the total detachment. The truth? Not even a little. I regret trusting people who didn't deserve it. I regret thinking family meant unconditional support instead of a one-sided transaction. But walking away, taking control of my life, letting the people who betrayed me finally face the weight of their own choices? No regrets. Mom's last text came about a month ago. Family is supposed to forgive each other. My response was simple. Family is supposed to not eat each other over in the first place. You should try that with your next kid. Then I blocked her number. That was the last time any of them reached out. So yeah, Reddit. That's my story. My sister slept with my boyfriend. My family told me not to cause drama. So I did what I do best. I calculated, I executed, and I walked away richer, calmer, and completely free. These days, I wake up, make coffee, open my balcony door, and breathe. There's a kind of quiet that only comes when you've stopped letting people drain you. The business keeps me busy, but not burned out. I pick my clients, pick my hours. I don't have to babysit incompetence anymore. I can actually enjoy the work I do. And Ryan, the new guy, he's the first person who makes the quiet feel like home instead of loneliness. We're not rushing anything. We don't need to. I've already lived through a hurricane. I don't need fireworks now. I need warmth. Sometimes I think back to that Sunday dinner, that awful, silent pause before the chaos. The way Mom gasped, Dad shouted, Eva froze, how I walked out without saying goodbye. At the time, it felt like my life was collapsing, but it wasn't collapsing, it was clearing. They say revenge doesn't solve anything. Maybe they're right. But peace? Peace solves everything. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's becoming untouchable. And that's exactly what I became. These days, I barely think about them. Not out of bitterness, but because they simply don't exist in my day-to-day life anymore. The few mutual acquaintances who still talk to Eva say she's reinventing herself. She posts motivational quotes about growth and forgiveness on social media, which is rich, considering she's never once actually apologized. Mom likes every post, of course. Dad just stays off the internet altogether. I guess shame has a way of silencing people. But me, I'm good, better than good. I used to think peace was something you had to earn. Like if you worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, forgave fast enough, it would eventually be given to you. But peace isn't given, it's taken. It's choosing yourself, even when everyone else calls it selfish. A few nights ago, Ryan and I were sitting on the balcony, wine glasses half full, the city lights blinking below. He asked me, would you ever go back? Not to them, to that old version of you? I laughed. The one who thought loyalty meant self-sacrifice? No, she's gone. He smiled a little, nodded. Good, she deserved better. No big speeches, no promises, just that quiet understanding. And honestly, that's what I'd been craving all along. Not grand gestures, just peace. My therapist once told me, sometimes healing isn't about rebuilding bridges. It's realizing some people were never meant to cross the same river with you. I think about that a lot, because that's exactly what happened. I didn't burn bridges. I built new ones that laid somewhere better. Sometimes I'll get those Facebook memories, family holidays, birthdays, all those posed smiles. And for a moment it stings. But then I remember what those photos hide, the favoritism, the quiet manipulation, the constant expectation that I'd fix everything. I close the app, take a deep breath, and go back to the life that's finally mine. Ryan and I have been talking about traveling next year. Nothing extravagant, maybe somewhere quiet, the coast, the mountains, somewhere far from everything that used to hurt. He joked that I'll probably still check my emails from the beach, and he's probably right. Old habits die hard, but this time it'll be my work, my success, my peace. Sometimes I still wonder if Eva lies awake at night thinking about what she lost. Not me necessarily, but the version of her life where she was untouchable, where every mistake got swept under the rug. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. Either way, it's not my concern anymore. For the first time, my life feels clean. No chaos, no emotional debt, just balance. And if anyone from my old life ever stumbles across this post, if they somehow recognize themselves in these words, here's what I'd tell them. You didn't break me, you freed me. So yeah, that's the story of how I lost my family, found my freedom, and learned that sometimes the cleanest revenge isn't destruction, it's elevation. Because peace is the kind of wealth no one can steal. And I'm finally rich. It's been a year now. A full 12 months since the dinner that ended everything. And somehow, I've never felt lighter. The apartment that once felt too quiet now feels like home. The hum of the city at night, the clink of my coffee mug against the counter in the morning, little sounds that remind me I'm building a life that's mine. No guilt, no chaos, no tiptoeing around other people's bad decisions. Ryan's still here, steady as ever. He's patient in a way that used to make me suspicious. Like I was waiting for the catch, the betrayal, the inevitable mask to slip. But it hasn't. He's the kind of man who doesn't need to prove his worth by tearing others down. He asks before he touches. He listens when I speak. He shows up. We're still taking things slow, and that's exactly how I want it. There's no timeline, no pressure, no pretending. Sometimes we'll work side by side in silence, me on my laptop, him sketching out blueprints for a project, and that silence feels like safety. My business has tripled in size. What started as a quiet revenge project turned into something real, something powerful. I've got a small team now. 2 analysts, 1 bookkeeper, a part-time assistant. They joke that I run things like a Navy commander. Maybe I do, but they're happy, they're paid well, and we do damn good work. A few weeks ago, I got an email from Richard, the developer who once worked with my dad's company. He invited me to bid on a massive new project, said he wouldn't trust anyone else with the financial side. That email made me laugh, not out of arrogance, but relief. Proof that everything I'd done, every painful choice, every boundary set, had been worth it. I didn't burn bridges. I just stopped crossing the ones that led nowhere. Eva, from what I hear, is working part-time at a design studio, still posting about new beginnings, still finding herself. Mom and Dad sold the condo again, moved to a